Hello, welcome to Money Matters TV. My name is James Chan. I'm your host in this episode. I work and live in Philadelphia, and my firm is Asia Marketing and Management. Today, my co-host is Dave Emery from the Marshall Financial Group. Dave, how are you?
Good to see you, James.
Good to see you. So, tell people what you do, because I think it's best for you to tell people what you do than for me to do it.
Yeah. So we're a financial planning firm, and we predominantly work with families that are between the ages of 45 to 65. We kind of refer to them as the sandwich generation.
To me, it's the very important generation.
Yeah. Right. So, and really what we do is this generation, they have a lot of different things on their mind, but one of the big things that are on their mind is someday they would like to retire. So we help them with regards to planning along those lines. And one of the big areas where we start with is helping them basically align all their, help them understand where they stand, align their financial assets. We also talk through where they want to go, with retiring. We lay out plans on how to get there, and then once we get there, help them understand how to sustain their lifestyle through retirement.
What is that in relation to a wealth management firm? I hope I'm making some sense in terms
absolutely.
of trying to eke out a difference.
Yeah, so we, I guess we could be classified also as a wealth management firm. We do manage people's money too. But the majority of what we do is we do a lot of planning. That demographic, they have all kinds of, not just wanting to retire, but a lot of them have kids that are either still in high school, ready to go to college, come back from college, may have debt. So we help them with regards to, maximizing their wealth from that perspective too.
What are some of the concerns of this, what I call the deciders group? These are people in their prime.
Peak earning years, peak spending years.
The age is prime, the money is prime, they are making they're calling the shots.
Right.
They're probably in positions of some power.
Right. So one of the big areas on their mind is they'd like to retire. They've done a really good job on saving their saving for retirement, like in their 401ks. They're paid into Social Security. So they've done a good job on the accumulation side of things. They just haven't had experience or don't know. They need help on the how do you make those assets work for you into retirement and sustain your lifestyle that you want to
Can you tell the audience what are the 3 most common questions your client asks you? Like, they already want to talk with you.
Right.
So now you are in a closed door environment. They're comfortable.
Yeah.
And what are the 3 most frequently asked questions?
I would say
to be specific.
Some of the 3 big areas that are on their mind is they want to transition to a different career. Because a lot of times, if you're between the ages of 45 to 65, and you'd like to, you've been in your job for a while, a lot of times you'd like to try something different. But they're concerned if they try something different, they don't know if they're going to be able to maintain their lifestyle. So a lot of it goes to the lifestyle side of things.
This is new to me. I never thought that they would ask you about career transition.
Yeah, we get into that. And then the other, another big thing is also I see is with regards to their aging parents.
Sure. That part.
And a lot of times, that comes into play with regards to, helping them, and that takes on the form of anything from a financial perspective of their aging parents to, planning for them. Where are they going to age with regards to the housing? How do you transition to that? A lot of times that's on this demographic's minds too.
The third one.
Yeah. The third one I'd say is with regards to college. The college costs with them, and that, college has gotten so expensive.
I have my number, but give me that.
You have your number?
Well, give me a number per year.
I can give you all. It's all over the map.
Okay,
I would say Penn State is somewhere around main campus, and living in state is somewhere around $40,000
a year. Per person, of course.
Per person, yeah.
Right. Oh
I have a client whose son is going to be a freshman down at George Washington, down in D.C. You know how much that goes for?
No, I would not dare.
$73,000 for 1 year.
including room and board.
Room and board, books, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
Many people don't even make $73,000 a year.
I mean, yeah, and that, you hit on something, James. It's you're
really,
paying for
come on.
college with after-tax dollars.
Right.
So you have to make a lot more than $73,000 a year to pay your taxes to be able to send all that money to
And if you have
schools.
2 kids instead of just one, and they are more or less around the same age. Wow.
Yeah. So
God.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things we can do with regards to making their wealth go further with regards to college planning too. From saving for college, understanding the loans that are out there, to even using the tax code. There's things within the tax code to reduce your taxes to free up dollars to save and pay for college.
Seems to me that what you eventually do is help them manage their expectations.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Because they can, I don't believe that your client will tell you, oh, I have this chunk of money, please grow it.
Yeah.
I mean, growing is fine, but so what do you mean by growing?
Right.
What do you want? What do you want to achieve?
Right. Managing expectations is a lot of what we do. It's whether it's managing expectations on investing a portfolio per particular mix. How is it going to perform? To savings, to debt management. I mean, but really, what it bubbles up to is lifestyle, helping people live the lifestyle they want to live.
But I must tell you, Dave, that I've learned something new today, which is I never thought that people would talk about career transitions as one of their key. I don't know what the word should be. Worries, anxieties, feelings. I don't know.
It kind of comes in the context of retirement. In the old days, well, in my father's days, I should say, there was this term called cliff retirement. Cliff, which means I remember my father. He had, he was going to retire. I forget what day. At age 60 on this day, he's going to retire.
Oh.
And then that was it, and he never went back to work again. Now people into retirement are, they are working. They want that social interaction that comes with working. They want to, sometimes they need, they want the financial aspect too. A meaning, it fulfills the whole, meaning of purpose, and just kind of doing cliff retirement is, that does happen, but it's kind of, I'm not seeing that as much. So that's where the kind of the career transitioning kind of comes in, but that also helps to build out the retirement income puzzle too.
I have a hunch, if you are working with the owner of a business or any entrepreneur, chances are he or she is not talking about retirement, but rather just how will they continue to work and be active and be productive and retain their identity, that kind of thing. I mean, I know that people will want to retire at some point, but I think for owners, it's a slightly different game.
It's owners, but it's also other people too. I mean, it's people working in companies too, because a lot of times, I see this especially with men, a lot of times their identity is wrapped up in their profession. So that's
we can talk about that for a long
we
time because it affects myself. But I think that at this point I really have to ask you to answer a question from the audience.
Okay.
Now there is this man whose name is rather common, but I wonder, Mark Kent. I wonder whether to what extent he's actually Clark Kent. But it's Mark Kent asking you, Mr. Emery,
be a relative.
David Emery, a question.
Sure.
Could you give us some tips on getting college scholarships?
Sure. So, one of the areas within college planning that we also, consult clients with is with regards to, how do you reduce cost of college? And one of those is, people say
$73,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's right. Yeah. Scholarships. One of the things I would recommend is look locally, and what I mean by that is, you can go scholarships all across the country. Like I know Coca-Cola has one. I think 3M used to have one where the person that came up with the best duct tape design got some scholarship money. I'm not sure if they still have that. But what I mean by look locally is a lot of times, local chambers of commerce, Rotary, hospitals, even employers that you work for, sometimes they have scholarships.
Very good.
The county, sometimes the county, I know there's a county scholarship up in Bucks County with one of the local nonprofits. So that's one big area, but the other big area is to make sure to fill out your FAFSA financial aid form, because the colleges award money with regards to grants, grants and scholarships from their own endowment funds.
Right.
And you need to have filed the FAFSA form more times than not to be able to. FAFSA, it stands for FAFSA, free, federal aid free. I'm going to probably mess up. It's like the free,
so,
the free federal.
So it's an acronym.
It's an acronym.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so, but it's the federal financial aid form that all scholarships, all financial aid from schools. Yeah, you need to file that to be able to access it.
Roughly what season of the year people should do it?
That's a great question. So it's any time from October, if you're like if you're an incoming freshman, that's when it opens up.
Yeah.
All the way through, I think when it closes is June.
Okay.
So that's
October
kind of
to June.
the time frame.
But
on
the earlier the
things.
better, right?
Yeah, they say that. Certainly for school, if you're trying to access money from school, because FAFSA is also for state and federal aid too.
Okay.
So for school, that for colleges aid, they only have so much of it. So I've heard it's kind of first come first serve type of thing.
I think this is a piece of very good advice, and of course people can find you.
Sure, we're in Doylestown, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, right. The Marshall Financial
Group in Doylestown.
Dave Emery.
Yeah.
And do you have a website that you can tell people?
www.marshallfinancial.com. It's all one word.
Very
2
good.
L's.
Good, very good. Thank you. Well, we welcome more questions, and this is how you can send in your question to Money Matters TV.
You can have your questions answered on Money Matters. Please go to our website, money-matterstv.com. On our homepage, click on the banner on the right that says Send Us Your Questions. While you're on our website, you can find information about our hosts and guests, as well as show notes and links about this show and past shows. Money Matters is also available as a podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, so you can listen to Money Matters while you're on the go. That website address, again, is money, MONEY, -matters, MATTERS, TV.com.
Hello, welcome back to Money Matters TV. I am James Chan with Asia Marketing and Management. Today we have a wonderful guest. His name is John Mason, actually Dr. Mason, because this man has such wonderful academic credentials, but however, there's more to this person. And I'm going to let John answer the question. John is chairman of New Finance, a company that he started. He is the chairman, CEO, and president of New Finance. But also Dr. Mason is a contributor to SeekingAlpha.com. Hi, John.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good to have you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All yours. Tell people what you do. And
Well, right now, I'm kind of one that Dave referred to as retired, but not really retired, which is, has been wonderful for me. It's been a very enjoyable retirement. I do a lot of writing now. I'm writing a couple books. I do consulting. I've worked a lot with young companies and that kind of thing, and so I still work a lot with young companies. And I've been connected now with a couple worldwide groups now to do writing and speaking and consulting with them, headquartered in Shanghai.
Wow.
oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
So
You don't need to know Chinese.
I don't know Chinese. No,
I do. That's why I'm asking.
I'm sure. So I keep very busy and really enjoy the things that I'm doing.
Very good.
So tell us a little bit about your experience in the banking industry. So what's happening today with banks?
Well, David, I go back a long way in banking. Actually,
Yeah.
my grandfather was a banker. He was what was called a Missouri banker, and so I grew up at his knee and have progressed since then, having studied banking and then been in the Federal Reserve System, and Then I went to the Wharton School and taught how to run banks in the finance department at Wharton. And after that, I went out and I have run 3 banks since then. And so banking has always been one of my big interests, but it's been an industry that has changed so dramatically over time, where we had states where you could only have one branch, one office, and that was all. Or there was one branch states and so forth, or limited branching. So you went back to a completely different era in terms of the structure of the banking system. And now, I mean, we had 18,000 banks in the United States back when I was a little bit younger than I am right now. In 1990, we had something like 12,000, a little over 12,000 banks. In 2000, we had a little over 8,000 banks, and right now we're at September 30, 2018. We had 4,774 banks.
My goodness.
So the banking system is shrinking dramatically. The changes that are taking place in banking are just enormous.
So are you saying, John, that really it gets so Darwinian that as a bank, you either become a behemoth or you be dead?
Well, and there's one thing that's really driving that, James, that is just so important now, and that's the information technology, the computer. As we've seen,
talking about information technology, I apologize. I really have to shut my cell phone. I should have done that a long time ago. I totally apologize, but you know, accidents happen.
Well, when we very often think about the giants in information technology. We talk about Amazon, we talk about Google, we talk about Apple and those kinds of firms. And one of the things that is so crucial about them is most of what they're dealing with is intangible. It's intellectual capital. And right now, the big thing behind everything that they're doing is scale. These behemoths are becoming so huge. I mean, and we get more and more talk about how they should be regulated. How are we going to control these people and the like? Well, transfer that to another industry we'll call banking. Banking is basically just an information industry because all money is information. All finance is information. I write you a check. That's just a basic piece of information that you take to your bank and you cash it there, and then they withdraw funds from me. So information technology is finance.
Is there one area in information technology you're seeing that the banking industry is focused on?
Well, it's changing very, very dramatically. Because of the regulators and the regulations, banking actually, in my mind, is behind a lot of the rest of the world.
That's amazing. How could they be behind banking? Bankers, they're supposed to be really know what they are doing.
Well, for one reason, the banking industry has been structured to keep the small bank, to make the small banks prosper and things like that. So that, you know, and this was, I talk about a Missouri banker. On my grandfather's knee, I learned that anything other than unit banking was bad for the system.
You mean, just educate me.
Yeah.
You're serious, right?
Yes.
Banking started with a core, if not principal, goal of keeping banks small.
Yeah, in the United States, this is we basically were bred on this from the very start. Big finance was looked on badly, and what you wanted was in the banking system was small banks that were local, that you knew who the people were. You walk in, and you know, I mean, again, talking about my grandfather. My grandfather knew everybody in the small town in Missouri that he lived in. And you come into the bank, and it's not "Hi, Mr. Schaefer." It was "Hi, Tracy." You know, it was that was how banking worked back there, the relationships. And one of the most interesting things that I got into when I moved into the Wharton School to teach how to run banks in the finance department is the big banks didn't recruit in the finance department at Wharton. The New York banks, the California banks, they didn't recruit.
Where did they recruit?
They were bankers. You know where they recruited?
No.
At the University of Pennsylvania? History department, social science department.
That is amazing.
And things like that. Why did they want that and not somebody that was trained in mathematics and finance?
Correct.
Well, if they were social, they enjoyed a good cocktail party. They enjoyed going out and playing golf.
Don't forget, I got my degrees in geography. I'm the party people. Yes, yes.
But go out and play golf with people, or play tennis with people. Enjoy going to theater with people, or music. And so those were the kind of people you wanted because of the face-to-face connection.
So you're talking about human skills, the humanities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was in.
You're not making this up,
I
right?
went there in 1972, and that I was just amazed. The big banks went to the social sciences and the humanities areas to recruit people, and not to the finance department.
Wow, interesting.
I taught there 11 years, so that is my experience there.
What do they do? What do the
And
big
I
banks
consulted with Chase Manhattan and many of the other big banks
do
and
they
so
still
forth.
do the
So
same
it's
thing?
not. No, I mean this is a part of the whole change that's taken place, and to me, I think maybe reached a tipping point in terms of the realization of what's going on here. Last week, there was a merger announced of two big Southern banks,
BB&T and SunTrust.
BB&T and SunTrust. And you look at the press releases, you look at the interviews, you look at everything that's connected with that, and what are the executives talking about? We need to grow to such a scale that we can compete on the basis of information technology.
Wow.
Okay. Wall Street Journal had an article this week, said BB&T spends about $1 billion a year on information technology research. Okay. Bank of America spends $10.8 billion
My goodness.
on that. Okay, so the combination of these two banks now is going to make the 6th largest bank in the United States. And what they're trying to do is scale up so that they can be competitive with these large commercial banks on the basis of information technology.
So is it true that small banks have no future? Can you say that?
It's
What's their niche?
well, a couple things there, James. First of all, there still is a great amount of support in this country for mainline banks.
Meaning people can socialize.
Right.
Meaning that people have local banks
Right.
that are small,
Right.
that are conduct business
Right.
on a more personal basis
Right. Okay.
than just going to a computer and submitting data.
Okay.
So is there niche the smaller loans and things like that? Because from what I understand, like the commercial lending is the big profit center on a lot of banks. So is that where these smaller banks are going to end up carving out their niches?
Right, exactly.
Well, I'm
some
going to
of
give you a very fuzzy answer on that.
Okay.
It's going to depend.
Okay.
And of course, one of the things, and this is BB&T and SunTrust state this right immediately, is, hey, you start talking about the millennials, and
Right.
you start
Yeah,
talking
right.
about others,
Right. Yeah.
people that to have their face in a Apple
Yeah, like here,
Right.
just rang. Yeah.
iPhone
Yeah.
all day.
Right.
Do I care about coming in and saying, "Hi, James,
Right.
how are you today?"
This is too scary.
David,
Right.
how are things going? And they don't want that. So the question is, in terms of where this ultimately is going,
Right.
is a generational thing.
Right.
And again, when did this kind of generational thing start? Well, I would contend it started in the 1960s, and it started with the automatic teller's machine.
Right.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you didn't. Who used the ATMs back
Right.
then?
Right.
It wasn't the older people.
That's right.
It wasn't the more mature people. It was the youngsters
Right.
that were using the ATMs because they didn't know any better.
Right.
The older people didn't trust it and were unfamiliar with it. Well, that was the 1960s with old ATM machines. So you've had almost 60 years since then in terms of changes in technology.
Yeah.
And so you're getting now that, wow, this is changing.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see what BB&T and SunTrust are saying. I mean, basically, BB&T spends about $1.8 billion a year on research in
My
technology.
goodness. That's something else.
Bank of America spends $10.8
Yeah.
That's
billion.
crazy.
We are running out of time.
Okay.
I
Talk
know
all
that the three of us
That's right.
can talk for 3,000 more years.
That's right.
And then we can educate the millennials and get them to read Thucydides, to read the entire set of Greek tragedy, so that they love to be with one another face to face, blood and flesh. But in the meantime, our next guest on Money Matters TV is Joe Cano from New Ease Inc. He's also a financial expert in a different matter, and it would be good for us to continue this conversation
Absolutely.
when we can.
Do it again. Good.
One more minute. Your show.
Yeah.
1
Okay,
minute.
well, I mean,
for this.
you go to this BB&T and SunTrust thing and this thing, and they've got 740 branches that are within 2 miles of each other.
Okay.
So there's going to be some consolidation. There's going to be some reduction in terms of branches, in terms of expenses and things like that. They're contending that they will release $1.6 billion from consolidations and reductions.
Okay.
And that's all going into information technology research and so forth. They're going to build a new computer and technology center at their new headquarters that is going to be state-of-the-art. Okay, I say this is like a tipping point because it looks like finally this is getting out and getting raised to the level that it should be, because this is the future of banking. This is the future of finance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We will welcome Dr. John Mason to come back on Money Matters TV and talk more, because we need to know more. Thank you very much.